This isn't just any video. This is my 300 subscriber milestone video. Now, words cannot describe how thankful I am to each and every one of you. Your support means everything. Now, let's get on with Mothman. Mothman is described as a bipedal winged humanoid. Despite his name, which was given to him by the newspapers, he is nowhere moth-like and has an appearance more like a large humanoid owl. His coloration varies from black, grey to even brown, although the colours are usually on the darker side. He is often reported to be about 7 feet tall with a wingspan of about 10 to 15 feet or more. Plus, he's got the ability to fly at about 100 miles an hour. Sometimes he's described as not having a head, with 2 huge red eyes set in the chest. These eyes are reported to be glowing, or at least reflective. The details of his face and his feet have never been adequately described. One witness who saw his face clearly could only say that the details were horrible and monstrous. Anyone who gets close to the Mothman seems to suffer from extreme fear and psychological distress, sometimes lasting for months or even years after it. In particular, the people say that the sense of pure evil overcomes them when they see the Mothman's eyes. So he can fold his wings, and he can walk with his wings folded in a weird shuffle kind of way that most people compare to a penguin. Out of everything, this dangerous monster is compared to a penguin. Great. When he flies, he unfolds his wings and shoots straight up with great speed, then levels out so he can go wherever the hell he wants. He's rarely observed flapping his wings except for on takeoff. Witnesses often describe his flight pattern like a helicopter going straight up. He can fly much faster than any bird should be able to fly. Some of the witnesses have seen how fast he can fly, but this is when Mothman's playing his favourite game, when he's chasing you down the road when you're trying to drive away from him. What? That's... No. I won't even go there for him to do that anyway. So, Mothman sightings have been associated with at least 2 other cryptids. These being the gigantic thunderbirds. These have grey bodies and red heads that were sighted in the same area round about the same time by a few witnesses. And the other one being Owlman, which is an identical creature with wings and red eyes, which was sighted in Cornwall in England in 1976. So, Sheriff George Johnson, who the original witnesses contacted, believed the Mothman may have been a large heron. Something like that. Wildlife biologist Dr. Robert L. Smith at the West Virginia University thought Mothman was a sandhill crane, which the newspapers then reported on, but witnesses completely disagreed with that. Skeptic Joe Nichol thought owls would be a good explanation because of their red eye shine and the silhouette resembling a headless Mothman. Most modern skeptics seem to agree with Joe Nichol, but the sightings might be just too extraordinary to attribute them with an owl. Some believe Mothman may be an angel, a demon, or the product of a blood curse placed upon the town by Chief Cornstalk, who was murdered along with his son in the area. Well, isn't that lovely? Wow. The curse theory is one very attached to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. We'll get onto that later. The TNT area. The creature was sighted in many places across West Virginia and the surrounding states, but the largest number of sightings happened near the old West Virginia Ordnance Works, an area known by locals as the TNT area. Ooh. West Virginia Ordnance Works, or WVOW, is what I'm going to call it, is an abandoned munitions to the north of Point Pleasant. That's in West Virginia. Dates back to World War II. The facility during its operation manufactured ammunition and dynamite. The surrounding area is mostly forest, dotted with a few grassy patches and thick concrete domes, which are called igloos. They were used to store barrels of gunpowder. The area is also riddled with abandoned tunnels which have either collapsed, sealed off, or they've been flooded by water. In 1979, fishermen in the TNT area reported that chemicals had been left to seep into the pond, causing it to be labelled an environmental disaster. By the year 1983, the TNT area was among the country's most polluted sites. It was here in the TNT area on the cold night of November the 15th, 1966, 3 days after the first sighting took place. Oh, it's getting exciting now. So 3 days after the first sighting took place, the two young couples would encounter this bizarre creature. Roger and Linda Scarberry were driving in Roger's black 57 Chevy Bel Air. Presuming that's a car. I'm not really a car person. But they were in the car with Steve and Mary Mallet. And they were driving through the area around midnight when Linda noticed something. It was unbelievably scary, according to her. So there were two large glowing red eyes in the darkness beside the Old North power plant. So she decided to scream, like any other person would. They soon learned that these eyes belonged to something that looked frankly human. About 7 feet tall, with wings folded against its back. Roger stalled in the road for a minute, inspecting the strange creature. The four then realised immediately that their spectacle was no ordinary bird. The true horror had just begun. However, when the creature spread its wings, it pursued them down the highway, which was Highway 62, to the Point Pleasant limits at speeds exceeding 100 miles an hour. The four arrived in town, startled and confused, with no sign of this mysterious bird that had chased them. Roger parked his car at the edge of town and they stopped and discussed their encounter, eventually deciding that what they saw was nothing more than a bird. It was then decided they were going to face their fears. They then drove back towards the TNT area. It wasn't long before they saw the creature again. Apparently, waiting on them beside Route 62, the couples now realised that their stalker was no bird. But in the instant that the car's headlights landed on the creature, it lifted vertically into the air at tremendous speeds and disappeared above the tree line. This time when they arrived into the town, they went to the Mason County Courthouse and told their story to Sheriff George Johnson and Deputy Miller Halstead. 2 hours later, city police began investigating the area, only to return empty-handed. The next day, a press conference was held and the local press began printing on the story, causing others to come forward with previous and future sightings. This was the major event that started it all. And in the November the 16th issue of the Point Pleasant Register, the strange encounter would be brought to the public eye with the headline, "Couples see man-sized bird, creature, something." The strange encounter in the TNT area was a harrowing experience for everyone involved, and on the morning of November the 16th, 1966, Linda Scarborough was rushed into hospital by her father after experiencing a nervous breakdown. On the phenomenon, Roger Scarborough stated, "I'm a hard guy to scare, but last night I was for getting out of there." This creature would be seen throughout the next 13 months in Point Pleasant, and it was estimated that there were over 100 sightings within this time. Though these are unidentifiable reports, and the actual number of the reported sightings might be a little bit less than what it says. Mothman witnesses were also harassed by the Men in Black, which is a future video by the way, look out for that. So the Men in Black wanted them to not speak about the creature at all. The strange sightings also seem to accumulate in the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December the 15th, 1967. The sightings are similar to the Mothman in many ways, including the fact that most of them seem to be heralds of impending disasters. Some of the places Mothman or its fellows have visited include a mine in Freiburg, Germany, where a Mothman-like creature scared miners away shortly after the collapse. Another notable visit was to the nuclear power plant at Chernobyl, where a creature haunted the facilities for a while before the famous nuclear meltdown. There were also 2 Mothman pictures taken in New York on 9/11 and multiple sightings before the Minnesota bridge collapse.